Hey, what's going on, people? Victor here, and I'm about to give my impressions on the Batman v Superman movie. You can call it a review if you want. I'm just calling it impressions because I did watch this in theaters a couple weeks back, so I'm a little late to the party, so I don't really feel right calling it a review. It's just more of my in-depth impressions of the movie, really. So let's see what I can do with this, where I can go from here. I'm gonna try to recall a lot of points off the top of my head because I do remember a great deal of this movie and how I felt about it coming out of the theaters. So let's get this started here. First off, I I'm not a huge superhero fan. Okay, I don't read a lot of comic books. I didn't even really watch a lot of the Batman or Superman animations or cartoons. Um, I'm literally that guy who jumped on the scene by watching, let's say, the Dark Knight movies. I love those. Those are fantastic, by the way. I love those movies. That basically put Batman on a map for me as like one of my favorite superheroes just because of those movies. Having no prior background knowledge of this character, Dark Knight really laid the foundation for me as a casual fan. Now, as far as Superman goes, I like Smallville, but that's about the only thing I liked with Superman in it. I'm not a Superman fan. I don't think he's dark enough. Batman's pretty dark. I like Batman. Superman, not so dark. Not so much a fan of him. Okay, don't kill me. So, let's jump on the movie here. It starts off immediately after Man of Steel. Superman is in the midst of fighting Zod, and they're destroying the entire city. And we're shown Batman's point of view, or Bruce Wayne's point of view in all of this. And apparently he owned the business in, I think, Metropolis. I think they're in Metropolis. So apparently Bruce Wayne owned the business in Metropolis, and basically it was in a lot of trouble. It was under a lot of fire because you have two heroic titans, supernatural titans, duking it out in the middle of your city. So that's pretty bad. So Bruce Wayne comes on the scene. He's trying to save everybody. Couldn't save everybody. Things go to shit, and we're basically laid the groundwork for why Batman dislikes Superman. Okay? He's killed a lot of people under his care, under his employment. He doesn't like that. Now, the movie takes a lot of weird angles here. Superman's painted as a villain, basically, because he's so powerful and all, and so many people died during the incident when Zod came over. He basically put all of Earth in a lot of in hot water just by being there. So humans are naturally going to be afraid of him. I understand that. What I don't get is is Superman's response to this. His response isn't to show people how good he is. His response is, I don't understand his. I don't really get his response. He didn't really do much. Okay, he attended court. He he doesn't help people. He only helps people when they're in trouble. But what I would have really loved to see, based on the Smallville Superman, was him offering to help rebuild the city. That would have really fit into Superman's character, in my opinion, if he had just helped. If he had just lent a helping hand to help the people of Metropolis rebuild their city, because part of that death and destruction was Superman's his fault. It was part of his responsibility. So that's one thing I really didn't get about his character. On top of him being such a dark and gloomy guy, he wasn't too likable. He was 2 dimensional. I can't. He was flat as paper, flat as paper, dude. There was nothing to like about this Superman in this movie. At all. Not one redeemable quality about this guy. Meanwhile, we have Batman, and he is basically a homicidal maniac, which is something I'm not used to seeing in Batman, because having played the Arkham games, having watched the Dark Knight movies, I know Batman to be the kind of guy to say, I'm not gonna kill people no matter what, right? I'm gonna put myself in harm's way just to avoid killing someone. And to see him in this movie branding people knowing that they're gonna be killed after he brands them, seeing him cause so much destruction in this movie. I mean, he definitely kills a few people just based on some of the action scenes in this later in the film, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So off the bat, I didn't really like the portrayal of Batman or Superman in this movie. Though I will say I liked Ben Affleck's Batman. I really liked his character. I liked his attempt at portraying the character. I really liked it. As opposed to Henry Cavill's Superman, I really don't want to think it's his fault that Superman is such a two-dimensional character. I really love to blame the director, because I know Henry Cavill can add emotion to Superman. It's just he wasn't directed to do it. Okay, he can. I mean, actors can only go so far, given the director's approval. Okay, I mean, this man has emotions. He can display them. It's just he's not allowed to. Okay, so I'm gonna blame the scriptwriter. I'm gonna blame the director for Superman's poor performance in this movie. Now, as far as Batman can go, he's getting a standalone movie. Can't wait to see it. I would love to see his character fleshed out a bit more. Can't wait to find out whether or not it's a prequel or taking place directly after this Batman v Superman movie. Now, my opinions on this movie in general, I feel like it was a bit rushed and crammed together. I'll explain why. A lot of the scenes, the transitions between scenes didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, one moment, one thing is happening, and then it will immediately cut to, like, the Daily Planet in Lawrence Fishburne in the middle of yelling or something, you know? The way that this movie cuts the transitions, and I've heard it time and time again in multiple reviews now, it's a big problem. It's really jarring. And the amount of dream sequences only serves to complement that jarring aspect of the editing here. I mean, most of the time I'm literally like scratching my head. I don't know what's happening. Is this a dream? Is this real? You know? Like, there's a dream involving in the future. I'm guessing Batman has his posse in the future or something, you know, and they're about to go fight Superman. And Superman comes down, and he's obviously evil Superman at this point. He's not good. And he's basically, I'm thinking he's about to kill Batman. But the dream sequence cuts at that point. And you find out that it's some dude in the portal actually delivering this dream to Bruce Wayne. And I understood that scene. I understood, hey, this is the Flash, and he has the ability to travel through time and stuff like that. I get that. The problem, the huge problem, is at the beginning of this movie, they took the time out to give us yet again another Batman origin story. They had to spell out why Batman is Batman at the beginning of this movie. So, obviously, they don't have a lot of faith in the audience and knowing the character of Batman. And he's one of the main characters of this film. Now, you're trying to tell me that we had to have Batman spelled out for us, but the Flash is not introduced in this movie in any noteworthy way. It's not explained. His powers aren't explained to us. Half the audience probably had no clue who this man was when they saw that scene. And I'm literally like cringing because I'm like, and you don't explain this to anyone. So, I don't know. This movie contradicts itself in a lot of ways here. It just doesn't make much sense. And there are certain dreams that just don't even make sense, like Clark Kent talking to his dad. Well, not his biological dad, but Jonathan Kent. He's talking to him on some ice mountain. He's supposed to be dead. So he's talking to him on an ice mountain, and I'm like, okay, this is a dream sequence, right? But then John disappears, and Superman's still there. So I'm thinking, was Superman talking to himself? Is this a dream? I don't know. Can I go to the bathroom, please? Just get out of this theater for a few minutes? Like, I don't know. This movie can be really confusing at times. Even when you know what's going on, you're still a little bit confused here. Now, let's move on to Lex Luthor for a moment. I'm watching Smallville at the moment, rewatching it, and one of the most noteworthy characters of the show, Lex Luthor. I absolutely love that character in Smallville. So, when I see this Lex in Smallville, starts out as a spoiled rich kid, right? Has a turnaround in his life. He comes to a point in time where he wants to start doing good for the community. The problem is the Luthor name carries a lot of baggage with it, okay? So no matter what, the people still see him as his father's son, and his father still sees him as his father's son. When he doesn't want anything to do with that at all, you know, he's a pretty decent guy. He's for the people early on, but they just won't let him be that person, you know? They won't let him outgrow his family name. So, when I see the Lex Luthor in this movie as a kind of mad scientist / Joker character, I'm face palming. Like, I'm not literally face palming right now. I'm face palming on the inside, okay? Because I like Lex Luthor as a character. I just don't like Lex Luthor as a character in this movie. I think it was a horrible representation of the character. I understand it's the son, but I mean, you even shaved him at the end of the movie. So, I mean, if you weren't trying to compare the two or make him seem as though he's the original Lex Luthor, I don't see why you would shave him at all as any kind of reference to Daddy Luthor. Man, this character's really messed up. He is so animated, damn near schizophrenic. Wow, man, they really messed this character up. And by the end of the movie, you still have no idea why he wanted Superman dead. Like, you could bring in all kinds of comic book justifications for his actions. I'm trying to get Superman against Batman and trying to destroy Superman, or wanting Doomsday to be created, but it doesn't fly here. It doesn't fly here. It doesn't make any sense at all. His character makes no sense. He has no business being in this movie at all. Like, really, they should have made Man of Steel 2 and completely cut Batman and Wonder Woman out of it, just so Lex Luthor could have gotten more fleshed out, because he's worse than Superman in this movie. Like, if I had to choose between the two, I'd take the Superman over Lex Luthor in this. And I like Lex Luthor as a character more than Superman. That's saying a lot, for me anyway. You also have your girl Gal Gadot. I hear people say Gal Gadot, but it doesn't sit right on my tongue, so I'm gonna say Gal Gadot. So you see her as Wonder Woman, and I have no issues with her being cast as Wonder Woman. I'm not a Wonder Woman fan. Some people say she's too small. Some people say she's just right. She's whatever to me. I mean, she's not barely in the movie at all anyway, and you only really see her do anything during the Doomsday fight towards the end of the movie. So, I mean, I guess we'll see her standalone movie because she didn't do much here. She was just shoehorned in here, which is why I'm saying this movie seems like 10 movies spliced into one. Oh man, they really rushed this. It seems like they really rushed this movie. And I hate to be ranting while I'm trying to just give my impressions, but this might just turn into a rant, actually. I just might call it my Batman v Superman rant. I'm seeing a bunch of negative stuff. I can't find that much positive to say about the movie, besides Batman and Superman on the screen at the same time. Actually, the next thing I'm about to say is going to be pretty positive. Stay tuned. I genuinely have to say, my favorite scene of the entire movie. There's two of them. And obviously they both include Batman and Superman being on the screen at the same time. Okay? So, Batman and Superman are at one of Lex Luthor's parties, or get-togethers, or gatherings, or whatever you want to call it. Shindigs. Okay? And Bruce Wayne, tending as Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent as Clark Kent, and they meet with each other, and they have a witty back-and-forth kind of banter. Right? At this point, I kind of suspected, okay, these characters know enough about each other to know, okay, I know you're really Superman, I know you're really Batman. So you could feel the animosity these two have towards each other during this conversation. And I loved it, it was one of the highlights of the entire movie. Right? I wanted more of these moments here. Okay? And then there was the Batman and Superman climatic fight. Climatic/anticlimactic fight. I'll get into the anticlimactic fight in a bit, but I just want to hang on this positive note for just a little bit longer. So, this electrifying fight between the two characters, beautiful. I love the scene where Batman shoots a kryptonite gas pellet at Superman, and he had no clue. So he inhales this kryptonite because he has no idea what this crap is. This is the first time we've seen it. Within 2 movies, this is the first time we've seen kryptonite. Okay, I was starting to forget kryptonite even existed at this point. So, we see this kryptonite gas, he inhales it. Batman beats the crap out of Superman. And during the fight, Superman actually starts to regain his strength. So he's getting his face beat, and then it's like, ding, ding, ding. He's not even reacting to the hits anymore. It's like, the kryptonite wears off. I'm gonna get into criticizing this in a moment. That's why I'm laughing. But he recovers, and Batman is like, oh, Superman, please don't hit me. And then, oh my gosh, it was the most hilarious part of the entire movie for me. It was hilarious. But sadly enough, I have to get off of this positive note to begin criticizing the movie yet again. First off, the fight didn't make sense. First off, okay, so Lex Luthor sent Superman to fight Batman because I think Lex Luthor had Lois Lane, if I remember correctly. So it was, oh wait, no. He had Martha Kent. He had his mother. And he sent Superman to go fight Batman. So, oddly enough, Batman was already prepared to fight Superman. Apparently, Flash gave him that vision as well, so he was prepared for it. He had all kinds of traps laid out for him. So, Superman's sitting there trying to talk to Batman, and Batman's not having any of it. He's like, yeah, you keep talking, just keep walking by traps, my boy. And it didn't make any sense because Superman had every attempt in the world to just hold Batman in place and just tell him, hey, you jackass, stop trying to fight me. We got someone to save. But, yeah, but it would have been a very short movie at that point if that happened. So, what we got was a fight between Batman and Superman. And we're going to go back to the kryptonite. Superman inhaled kryptonite gas. And I've seen Smallville. I've seen even some of the older, well, maybe like one or two of the older Superman movies. And I know kryptonite is deadly at this point. This man is deadly just for him being around it. This man inhaled it. Okay. And he recovered from it after inhaling it, which is so dumb. He should be dead. He's still alive. And he's getting beat up on top of it. Like, I don't understand. But, okay. It's the movie's universe. It sets its own rules. Okay. Whatever. Okay. So, we get to the end of the fight. Batman's about to kill Superman. And one of the craziest moments of the entire movie, Superman calls out Martha's name. You're letting her die. You're letting Martha die. So, we find out... Okay, so Batman is completely weirded out by this. He's completely shocked that he even mentioned the name Martha. So he's asking him why he mentioned the name Martha. And Lois comes along and says, it's his mother, it's his mother. He's like, oh shit, that's my mother's name too. We might be long lost brothers or something here. I don't know. But weirdly enough, they're the best of friends after that. After they find that both of their mothers' names are Martha. Apparently, Superman's now more human in Batman's eyes at this point. After just finding out his mother's name. Even though Batman did, I don't know how much fucking research he did on Superman before this fight. He had to have known who this guy's parents were. His foster parents or whatever. He had to have known this. There's no way he didn't know. He knew his name. He knew his name was Clark Kent. So there's no way he didn't know Superman's parents were Jonathan and Martha. There's no way in the world. So they're best friends forever. And they're gonna go fight Doomsday with the help of Wonder Woman. So I have no issue with that scene at all. Wonder Woman held her own. Superman was half in the fight, half with Lois Lane, because she had to have gotten in. I mean, she just had to get herself into trouble yet again in this movie, which is countless times she's gotten into trouble in this movie, and Superman had to save her. So he's over there trying to help Lois. Batman, he can't do crap. As much as I like Batman, he couldn't do anything against Doomsday. You know, he just had to keep distracting him or something. That's all he could do. So, like I said, by the end of the movie, we have... Oh, wait. Almost let Lex Luthor get off the hook. I almost skipped this part completely. Oh my god. This man knew where Clark Kent's ship was. Dude, this is insane. So, apparently, like, the military or something has control of Clark Kent's ship. Which is crazy, because you thought Clark Kent would have taken the ship somewhere else. Well, I keep saying Clark Kent. Superman would have taken the ship somewhere and hid it from humanity. You know? He didn't do it. So, apparently humans have control over the ship. And they gave the rights over to Lex Luthor. And somehow Lex Luthor got signed off on carrying Zod's body. So now he's also in possession of Zod's body. He goes inside of the ship, and if any of you remember Man of Steel, immediately after Clark Kent walked inside of the ship, the security defenses tried to attack him. No such luck here in Batman v Superman, because I would have loved to see Lex Luthor get his face slashed off of his body. But it didn't happen. He was not attacked. And we even see the machine. It doesn't attack him. So apparently, Lex Luthor knew ahead of time, hey, I'm gonna chop off Zod's, like, the skin off his fingertips, right? Because I know I'm gonna need this later. So I super glued him to my fingertips. It's so fucking stupid. So I'm walking up to he's walking up to the security console and it's asking him for clearance or whatever. He puts his fingerprints on the junk and it says, Alright then. Just go on ahead. Okay. It let him go with the fingerprints. I'll give the movie that. Okay. Fingerprints, fine. It had nothing to do with fingerprints in the first Man of Steel movie. But apparently fingerprints count here for some reason. So he's trying to clone Zod. So apparently he knows so apparently before even going inside of the ship, he knew ahead of time that he would be capable of cloning Zod. And when trying to gain access to clone Zod, the ship says, well, you know, the council way back when said, that's just a great idea. This man's been basically banned from the planet, exiled. Yeah, we're not gonna allow this. And Lex Luthor basically said the equivalent of, yeah, screw that noise. I said so. The council's dead. Let me do it anyway. And it let him do it anyway. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever owned a computer. I mean, we're in the 21st century here, so I reckon a great deal of you own computers or computerized technology in some way, shape, or form, or you've used it before. And I'm sure we all know that computers will ask you for a password, and you get to say, yeah, screw that. And it just lets you into the computer and lets you see all of the top secret files and private documents inside of that computer. Yeah, you don't need a password. I don't know if any of you have ever tried it. Just say screw that. Screw it. And it just lets you do it. It's a cheat code. You know, the Game Shark on PS2 is essentially the equivalent. Say just saying screw it. So at this point I'm just like, this movie's stupid. This movie's fucking stupid. Like I'm like, are you serious? Is let him in here do this? Whatever you do, whatever you can do to advance the plot, whatever. Maybe it'll be a huge payoff at the end of this logic gap. So it lets him clone Zod, and you get a little baby Doomsday, grows to be a Big Daddy Doomsday, and it's still never explained why Lex Luthor wants to create Doomsday. I mean, I can't think of a reason why he'd want to create Doomsday. I mean, sure, he'd be one step closer to destroying Superman, but did he ever think about what would happen to himself? Or his company? Or the people on Earth? I mean, he didn't seem like he hated people on Earth. And he seemed like he wanted very much to stay alive. So I don't understand why he would create Doomsday. No, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. He just did it. He just did it. Plot. The script says so. Just let him do it. Man, there's so many holes with that character. It's ridiculous. But essentially, what we got was, I just basically regard the film as a teaser for the Justice League, pretty much. I mean, the movie. It's hard for me to recommend the movie to anyone unless they're a fan of Batman or Superman, because it's not a must-see movie. It's not. It's got terrible writing, terrible editing, terrible directing. I just, man, I just don't know. I'm glad Ben Affleck is directing his own movie. His standalone Batman movie is being directed by him, so I cannot wait to see it. Because as long as Zack Snyder is not involved, I'm happy. Because this man messed up Man of Steel, and now he messed up Batman v Superman. I don't know what to say here. I really don't know what to say. I'm gonna end this right now before I start cursing and just going off on a whole bunch of random points. So I hope you guys enjoyed. You take care.